Soko linde motoka yine eri mu kuyitawo bindi.
Kubanga lese mu nyumba. Unajieta mutwa.
All right, a very good evening and welcome aboard to the Podium. Share like every single Monday from 10 p.m. to midnight as we preview and review in the world of motorsports on the local scene, African scene, as well as on the international scene. On this, of course, on this 17th day of June 2024. I'm hoping that everything has shifted here from the last time we did run this show as usual. Abakozi mfuna wewe nyiso baza katolera tumusaba tusako na birunje birala kuba byote bigwayo then abachafunye ubuzibuzibu. Better still to musaba temelo kumpenda what funye solutions we get past those problems so that we can live a better life. The Podium on Fufa TV na 102.1 Fufa Farm every single Monday. We do preview and review all the latest in the world of sports, and you too can join us on our various social media platforms. So kwa program eno jiraba live. Go downloading the Fufa Media app, that is Play Store or Apple Store. You will definitely be able to watch or to stream live this program as well, listening to 102.1 Fufa FM, which are both under the Fufa Media Services, and of course make use of the Facebook pages. Is that 102.1 Fufa FM, Nefufa TV, the home of Ugandan Sport, X, Neko X, of course 102.1 Fufa FM, Nefufa TV. You will definitely be able to, for any question or comment in this show as well as other subsequent programs, is with Fufa TV as well as Neku 102.1 Fufa FM. We have a lot regarding the world of motorsports is concerned, and surely 2 hours in again no comment is about to bring it up to speed. That we're not even in the world of motor sports. Nina Eno Kolinga, then Albert Ofong for today's program, but welcome back from Nambole. The fortress, Uganda last lost a game in Nambole in 19 years ago. 21 on the 3rd, last show we did was on the 3rd of June 2024. The show coincided with the Matters Day celebrations, and then that week, the 7th, which was the first event. Mpira Wasco played Botswana, beating up on Botswana 1-0. Cranes coming back in Nambole after 5 years. Then on 10th we played Algeria, where we lost 2-1 at home. So 6 points from 4 games. 2 losses, 2 wins. Algeria top in there, so our next World Cup qualification campaign gets back in March, where we play a double header against Mozambique. Away from home. Yeah, March next year because of the World Cup. Then at home against Mozambique. But Africa has nine slots. The 9 teams automatically qualify for the World Cup. The expanded version of the World Cup, which is 48 teams. And all the top teams in every group qualify for the World Cup. Never slot the best losers. So you have to go through another campaign of mwekuba mukao ni musanga atabavudde muziri continents and that, so that there's only that one more slot. So, but I get a feeling that the team is progressing well. And yeah, against Algeria, they are much better than us, almost in all aspects. What we were better than them in this game was the 12th play on the pitch. We are home. That stadium was filled to capacity. And I saw a number of motorsport personalities. There, Joseph Kamia, Saidi Kaketo, Kiz Kagoro. That's a beauty from Travis Mutiaba against Algeria. Kaiso, a number of rally fans, Semengo, very many of them. I was cheering the team, and the timing was okay. 7 p.m. after everyone's schedule of work, and like unfortunately for those ones who work during the night shift. Night shift, you could watch the game on FIFA TV, but if you work the day shift, then definitely you had the chance of coming to Nambole and enjoying yourself. So the next campaign for the Cranes should be the African Cup of Nations qualification campaign, which will take place in Morocco, and the Jakuja Mass should be in September this year. Then we have the World Cup campaign again, qualification campaign coming in March next year. So let's ride behind the Cranes and hope we can do much better with those boys under Joseph Paul Put. Kale, away from the Cranes, back in Nambole, into Kasema na wagea wabenga wabuzaako, then tutandikira Albi. On the 3rd, what they were Mike Mukula. You told me watch that show, and ngago yavuga ku Subaru. Yabinyonyola byonna the 12 and the 12 and the 14 and the 15. Yeah, and the 15B. So wale yambuza. But I asked him why all people are. The time I was I think to Alimu radio before we came up for the radio and TV. But explain the Subarus, the inception of the Subarus, from the 4 GC8 version 6. Then you had the 8, the 10, 11. 12B, JVB, then the 14, 15, I really remember 15, then the 16 finally. So those differences. So one thing, this discussion Albert that time, Mukulaji related the specific moto kabiri, the 12 and the 14 or the So how have you been?
First of all, personally I've been okay. Sanyuse nnyo okuba ku FUFA FM and FUFA TV. Thanks for inviting me again. Of course, ku lwange kibadde kya ssanyu nnyo okulaba first of all omupiira gwaffe at home in our national stadium. Era twebaza government ya Uganda, of course, ne Engineer Magogo and every member of parliament. Okubanga bayisa financial support ne of course UPDF yakoze eki yatereza ekisawo the football pitch netubanga we can also boast of having a home game with the number 12th player fully represented. Buli agendayo okulaba omupiira ogwo, of course football unites the country, and it gives us an opportunity to share, laugh, cry together and scream together. So ekyo kiba kitegeeza nti omupiira kintu sports n'omupiira is a very unifying factor, era kirungi nnyo twabaddeyo. Losing to Algeria, omupiira saasobodde ogenda mu stadium okulaba, naye I watched a bit of at least the Algeria game. I watched on TV. Era Kurwange, we made a good representation of ourselves as the Cranes. Iranga, in the Kurwange, I'm looking forward to the next game. The coach is new, team is young and is building. Tomorrow would Algeria is not one of the easiest teams to play. When Basijuki, if I'm not mistaken, have the World Cup. And the level of football in their country is a little bit higher than ours. So echo kirungi nnyo era omupiira guddako mu Nambole engeri gye mbeera wano ku show. I'm handing over my request to you, Mr. Bukenya. A VIP ticket will not be a bad one. Okubanga nsobola okubeerawo nange nendabako.
The VIP tickets, so we're going for 50,000.
Takubuuziza bbeeyi ya
And
ticket.
the merchandise shop was always open.
No, you know, I normally pay for what I go for. So all I need is for you to assure me how to get it, and I'll do my part.
I used to go Phone was buzzing with the complimentary ticket. I didn't know the platinum. Maybe I would have thought about it, but not the complimentary.
When I was growing up, my late mother taught me one thing. Never put yourself in a situation when somebody has paid for you. It does not allow you to speak your mind.
Some are corrupt.
So normally I try to make sure I can pay my way. So if I disagree with you, I tell it to your face without any remorse. So we'll be back. Then otherwise the week has been fine. We are looking forward to a very interesting weekend coming up. We're having one of the fastest events in the WRC Poland, which is very great, and I'm dying to see that one. Locally, for us as Formula One Association of Uganda, we are moving towards our next karting event, which is going to be in the first weekend of July. So we're in preparations for that. And of course, we must have an NRC event somewhere along the way also coming. So definitely we as motorsport, we are up and bright and ready to run. Our colleagues were in Burundi over the weekend representing the country and developing motorsport in the region. One of the things people fail to or have failed to promote, the fact that Uganda has actually promoted motorsport in this region extensively. Our competitors have traversed the region to ensure that the sport grows, and for that we should always commend them and make sure that we support them to do that. So that rally in Burundi was quite highly represented with Ugandan competitors, and they made a good showing. And of course our spectators, one of our biggest assets as motorsport is our spectators, who also traverse the whole country, the whole region, whole of Africa, and a couple of them have started doing the world events also. So it's a very good asset that we have.
Yeah.
Okay. Albert. Enoch.
Okumanya kasooka embuuza abatulaba n'abatuwuliriza ndyoke nzireko ggwe. Nsaba okubuuza abatulaba bonna n'abatuwuliriza mwebale nnyo kusigala ku mukutu gwa FUFA Fama ne FUFA TV. Mwebale nnyo okuwagira FUFA, mwebale nnyo okuwagira program the Podium. Tubagalira ddala. Era tubasaba mwongere okulaba program eno kuba information gye tubatuusaako era naffe kituyamba nnyo okulaba nga baviewers baffe munyumirwa program era n'okwongerako ne baviewers abalala bemumanyi eyo ne baba tebanyumira muzannyo gwa motorsports neera tubasaba mubakuutire mubabulire motorsports muzannyo gwa mulungi nnyo gwa maanyi nnyo, so nabo batuninge in bawulire balabe bayige kuba tulina bingi tusobola okubayigiriza. Amanya nga bulijjo Inoklero Yolinga wensigala nganze newaza Bukenya era okunkomyawo wano, very grateful. Ne tiketi zange zeyanyima eza mupiira gwa Uganda Cranes era namugamba kati olaba Algeria etukubye kuba wanyima tiketi kubaza akagunize nakalina.
And it gets down to if you look at the setup of the team and everything, there are very many things that if you look at the way foreign competitors have come here to compete, their levels of organization, their levels of competition levels, paying attention to detail and everything. It has a trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
If you're to compete with such a competitor, because if you look at our team, comparing a name, the Algerian team, guys playing like Albert has rightly put it, playing Champions League, Europe, and everything. So against our players, like once Uganda was manning our midfield, he's just been playing with Villa here.
Yeah.
Comparing him with the likes of Ben Ram and the likes. So, but I think we'll get there baby steps.
Yeah, very true. Era Galbert wagambye nti bagezaako because losing 2-1 to a team like Algeria era nawe nga bugambye, I think it's something that we can build upon. Tumanyi team mpya, coach naye mupya, bazanyi bakyali bato. It is better than your friendly gye twazanya ne Comoros batukuba golo 9 kumpi, you know. So losing 2-1 to a team like Algeria, I think it wasn't so bad. Stepping stone nungi nnyo ku coach omupya ne ku team empya jagezaako okubuildinga. So we continue to support them, twongera okuba wamaanyi n'okubawagira. Era ne Albert nga bwagambye nze era nange mama wange bwatyo bwe yankoza naye bukenyo alina okusuubiza ebintu abituukirize.
Okay, in the course of last week, it really touches the sport a lot. The 2024-2025 national budget was read out. That rose from 52 trillion to 72 trillion, an increment of 20 trillion shillings. So the question was, okay, apart from the government prioritizing and everything, this time around, even by the sports, is a priority in this budget. And another, the day, because of the East African community, the day they're reading a budget here is when Tanzania as well as Kenya now by with the budget reading, so to kind of coincide with the thing when there's a community. But sports, it's a priority, mainly because we have the Pamoja 2027.
Yes.
That's why you saw government approving, the parliament approving 152 billion shillings for the construction of Hoima Stadium, because you have to. We know what facility now. If you have Hoima, I think we are making strides towards hosting such a tournament. But which see, apart from, of course, the centers saying up the economic infrastructure development, how to do ahead of the Pamoja. I think that's where the eye of the government is, so that you can have a very, very successful event with our sister countries, Kenya, Tanzania, as well as Zanzibar in there. Because Zanzibar being part of the island being Tanzania as well.
Yeah.
So, but for motorsport, financial year 2020 to 2023, FMU, according to government allocation, had 1.2 billion, but I'm right. Then 2023-24, 3 billion shillings. So 2024-25, more or less the same. So in such situations, because I'll give an example, when government gives so far monies, specifically how to spend that money, cranes, women football.
There's a demarcation of the budget.
One of the symposiums, the last one we had with the FME management, prior to the beginning of this season, where the federation promised a lot of things to competitors, accommodation, tracking, medical insurance, return refund of entry fees and everything. That budget, someone, the treasurer then, because I'm told he's no longer the treasurer, that's what I'm told now. I think it's Mesa Mwangala, he's a treasurer.
Okay.
The breakdown of that money, how this money is spent. Okay, the support from government and computers are getting. That's why you saw refunds in
Mbarara, yes.
Refunds in accommodation was covered, tracking was covered. I don't remember so much about fuel about that, but at least accommodation, tracking, no refund, everything was done. In Masaka, we are yet, unless otherwise, we are yet to get the promises as it was, synonymous with Pearl. But going forward, Enoch and Albert, I need your mind about this how best we can better the sport using such
Yeah, nze ndowooza era neyongera okwebaza government, you know, okutunulira n'okutangazaamu mu nsonga ya sports kuba nze ndowooza sports is what moves the world. Era bw'okuba omakafaani n'ojjukira bwe twali mu era ka covid, abantu abasinga ekyasinga okutuyisaawo n'okutubeezaawo mu mbeera eyo eya covid embeera yali sports. Ne tulaba ku highlights enkadde ne tukuba emboozi nga ya sport era government ne zituyamba ne tubaamu ne sports ezimu ezeyongera okugenda mu maaso nga soccer with no funds. Then of course even in the rallying world ne tubeerawo ne rallies nga, you know, ne bagezaako as much as possible okukendeeza ku human contact, you know, during that time. So government okutangazaamu negamba nti tugenda kwongerayo kasente mu nsonga ya sports nze ndowooza nkulu, it's a step in the right direction. Tulina okugezaako okugoberera example Rwanda gyetaddewo kuba Rwanda in the region yekyalina investment esinga okuba enene in sport ate nze nkiwa balaba ekitangaala behind putting an investment behind sports. So okugezaako okukomyawo ekyo n'okukireeta mu motorsports ne mu federation, olina ekintu kyoyogeddeko bw'ogambye eyo increment ya ssente engeri gye bagyongeddeko ku budget nti batangazaamu nnyo okulaba okuteekawo structural development ne structural improvements mwako ka addition ke bawongeddeko ku ssente ezo. Era neŋŋamba nti kintu kirungi nnyo kuba era ne mu motorsports ne mu mitendera gya motorsports era tulina wetwetaagamu development eyo eyinza obutabeera nnyo in terms of structure naye nga twetaaga development ate federation gyerina okutangazaamu nnyo ku zino ssente zigenda okuyingirawo okugezaako okulaba nga bongera ku development ezo okusinga. Era ne bwetwogera ku structural development tusobola okwogera ku simanyi oba structural development oba ogattamu facilities simanyi oba zisobola okugenda mu structural development.
I saw 110 billion shillings for the construction of 11 supporting grounds. There were 790 billion shillings for the development of Lugogo Sports Complex.
Okay.
Of course, everybody as a way of broadening the infrastructure, because I think it's going to go on infrastructure where you have the people who can play the different sporting disciplines. Because at the commencement of the National Sports Act, we had 50 sporting disciplines. So that calls for almost structures everywhere. Now with the new sports. With the new sports law act Gamba, for you to be a federation, you need 75% of coverage of the entire country. Then an association, you need 50% for you to be there. Though you have to get the statutory instrument, in other words, the guidelines of how federations can achieve this.
Yes.
It all calls for infrastructure.
Yeah. So zindaba kirungi nnyo era ne mu motors twetaaga infrastructure. Asimanyi twogedde ku nsonga ya kubeera ne permanent home ya federation for quite a while. So kansubire nti mweno budget allocation era bakama baffe management yaffe yakitunulamu nnyo ensonga eyo nkulu nnyo okubeera ne woyita awaka. Kati olaba wano leero we tuli waka wa fufa mu kizimbe kya fufa. So kiba kirungi nnyo okulaba nga ne fufa ez'okutukyalirako wali mu FMU offices, you know. So kirungi nnyo naye era nsaba nkutira nnyo management erina okutangazaako mu nsonga zino nti bingi nnyo bekyetaaga mu structural development eyo tulinamu, you know, different nkitentya ekigambo kinvudde mutwe naye byetulina okweyongerako especially in terms of safety ne wetugenda n'okutangaza abantu mu education of the sport kuba kikulu nnyo. Manyi tugezaako wano ku platform eno ennungi ennyo gy'otuwa obulungi okwogerako ku motor sports neera twetaaga okukyongeramu amaanyi. So mu budget allocation eno empya nkutiza neesaba nti bakama baffe abo bakitangazaamu nnyo ne bakitunulamu okulaba nti tutongera okuzimba ku guno omuzannyo gwa motorsport.
Okay, we go in for a break. You want to come out for the input here, Albert, then we tackle the motorsporting happenings. Let's get back after the short commercial break. All right, we'll be back from that short commercial break. We're done with that first segment of today's show on the 17th of June 2024. This Podium comes your way every single Monday from 10 p.m. to midnight as we preview and review an episode of Motorsport. You can as well watch or listen into this program using the FIFA Media app. You also come downloading a Apple Store and Play Store. You'll definitely be able to watch or listen into this show as well as other subsequent programs as well as FIFA TV, 102.1 FIFA FM Zekesho manza program eno nina Enoch Leroy Olinga Starboy and Albert Ofong Team Explode. When was the last time we saw Explode in action?
About 2012. 2012 or 2013, I think. So the last time I drove was a PAL.
No.
None of those.
You drove a rally in Mbarara. I remember very clearly.
I think the last time we drove was the PAL of something. N10. The last time we drove was the N10.
How are your times?
N10.
How are your times? You remember his times?
The times are not bad though.
What do you mean they're not bad?
We finished the event in the top 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Our times in PAL were not good, but we finished as we.
No.
I wish you had attended the review. Yeah, Mkudobo, and you saw inquisitive Albert was in terms of I wish you had covered that. I mean, that's when I saw the real Albert.
No. Structured development. Basically, changing government, it's soccer. There's been a strategic shift on the side of government. Okubanga, we are looking at sports as an economy, and tulabanyo how sports can help in development of the country. This population we have is a young population. So we have a population which is ripe for investment in sport and development of talent, and do a lot that we can do with the young generation we have. Kati government we government etaddewo sente mu structural development oyina okwebuuza what happens around a national stadium. National stadium is an economy. Kuberako abajirongosa abajizimba, of course, the time of construction, the area jebalimo, for example, Hoima, there's going to be a huge amount of money pumped into the economy of Hoima as a result of that stadium. Kati businesses in Hoima are going to benefit very strongly. Two, after the construction is done, employment. A number of young people baja kubeera employed mu project, even during the process of development and after development. Employment opportunities in Hoima are going to be big. So that means that a lot of money is going to sink into the population of Hoima that can trigger development. Ekyokusatu, kasita facility ebeera ku ground, the sustainability of the facility involves developing of the sport. So in Hoima, we now have a stadium that the team of Hoima can now own. And as the stadium, the national stadium, I believe, I have not seen the structure yet, Nainga, it embraces other sports. It is not basically football only. So it might accommodate athletics, it might have something for volleyball, it might have something for other sports. So basically it means that Echechebakoze Hoima has an opportunity to ignite the population. The Africa Cup of Nations, of course, it showcases Uganda. Hoima has a tourist attractions. It has a very rich history of Kabalega. And then, of course, it is where our newest asset, oil, is. So the opportunity to showcase what we have as Uganda through the matches that are going to be played in Hoima is also a very huge return on investment. So basically, government investment in that particular structure is beneficial to the people short and long time. Now and in the future.
They pay 152 billion for the project. Then which in like Albert has said, maybe to cater for other to have 280 billion shillings. As in 280 billion for the entire.
And some of them not. Structure of construction expenditure policy jebayina. We have expenditure policy ngegamba majority of the revenue, at least a certain percentage of revenue jebagenda kozesa ebere spent in the region. Chiba kitegeza nti Hoima absorbs that money, which causes development. Kati wetugenda ku motorsport, structural development in motorsport, we need a lot of structural development. Nga motorsport twetaga ability of signing agreements with people, but where land jetuinzo kozesa rally, which is closed roads. That's the structural element. Twetaga grounds for things like karting, that is structural element. twetaga race tracks for motocross, that is structural elements, and zino zonnanga was tunulamuko zi creating employment for the young generation within that area. Chiba kitegeza nti when we invest as a country in that sport, obogezako kuleta economy okukula. But one thing we should all fena chetulina okumanya, governments by investing in sports for a certain period of time, eventually bino zitwala walala. So during the time government we take an investment in sport, it is up to the owners of the sports using that investment wisely and create sustainability for the future. So
budget cuts. And another thing, maybe Albert, you expound on your point, is I was talking to one of the presidents of the current 16 clubs, trying to have a chat about the issue about infrastructure. It's like you guys have not broadened your thoughts about, or maybe you respond to that in Amuboza. You have the sport moving in different regions. In say Eastern Motor Club, event again in Eastern part of Uganda, that is EMC. You have Hoima, that is Yumospok. You have UMC organizing an event in Fort Photo, that is the Rwenzori sub-region, by the way. Those Abadeko, that Rwenzori Business Forum, where you have districts like Bunyangabo, Wondibujo, Kasisane, annually. People come, brain sit about how best you can get business opportunities from that region. Can't we, if you approach the kingdom like Tor, and as a club or as a federation, backed up by the federation, like Albert Waga, you request for, I don't know how much land you would need to have a track for the circuit. It compounds the motocross as well. Yes. And then also the karting. You have the karting. You have the motocross, you have MX, and you have as well. Rallying as well. Where need to be, you can also create the enduro way, because it's just a matter of designing the entire. And how much acreage you need for such. Then you go into a partnership with no matter to Jimaze. Because to me, if you look at the records, people who have done the sprint championship last year, there's no one from outside the central region. Everyone is within. And people from those different regions have often a chance to compete on the sprint championship. I can't live wherever I am, like in Fort Porto, if I'm a competitor that side. Come and do sprint.
Kenya, you need to have omutalino kubanga mutuula wansi and you agree je mwagala genda. And in order okutuula wansi ne mwagala je mwagala genda, you must have an administrative organization that works as an administrative organization. You can't tosola kuloza to jump when you have not started walking. So what we need as an organization, first and foremost, which I've said 101 times, is we must agree to work together. We must work as a collective group of people, and the collective interest is bigger than the individual interest. When we realize that the individual interest then we shall get there. But with our organization, it seems we want to learn the hard way. And it takes a lot of energy and time, and personally for me at times it's wastage of time most of the time. So, but when guys, these things happen generations, right? In Zekurange, I've looked at it. There comes a generation which thinks differently and decides to pick up from where the generation before, decided not to agree. Because it's inevitable, you must agree. The only issue is, I always say, sometimes the rule is there, you can take it or you can be beaten into it. So for us, I think we have decided to take the road of being beaten into it. So it might not be our generation, but the next generation will definitely have to work together. So you can have strategic planning. They take 5-10 years to evolve. For example, like when we had UMRDC, we had a meeting with the king of Busoga, and he gave us a piece of land opposite his palace. At the time Lubiri was running, he gave us that land. But because of the individual interest which was in the federation, the best solution was to fight the whole concept, and it died. So that is our problem. So when we decide to jump...
Is it premature?
No, it was fought by the federation. That's the fact about it.
Yeah, okay. Ensonga ya fight of the federation.
But if we want to be honest about those things, even those who had problems with you were agents of the federation.
One of the station name of the presidential debate prior to this, prior to the election.
The election, yes.
That question was asked to one of the candidates. One was about UMRDC, and he gave his mind. Competitors this time on the SMBO for presidency. In our mind,
moving away the bottom line, byonna byoyogera, byonna byetukola bisobola okubeerawo. Naye nga kye tulina okkiriziganya as a group of people nti you must work collectively and you must give the collective interest #1 priority. And then everybody else will benefit as a result of the collective interest. So moving in those directions, Uganda, it has made a collective interest and says the Africa Cup of Nations, I cannot host it as Uganda. Let me bring Tanzania and my brothers Kenya. And we host it. And that's the way the world is going. Kubanga budget ya event okujihostinga murundi omuntu omu has become too difficult. So what they're doing is they're sharing the cost.
Every federation will have to pay as a commitment 114 billion shillings.
114 billion Uganda shillings
for you to for the 3 countries as a commitment. So it's kind of one sharing the cost. If you triple that, if it was one country hosting, then it will be an enormous amount.
Omanyi Albert ayina ensonga zayogeddeko point actually zebadde nteeka ku simu muyinza okwamulanga muloza mbadde ku WhatsApp naye nedda sibadde ku WhatsApp. Ayogedde ku bintu ayina ebintu byakuteekawo ebipiikiza interest yange nkulu nnyo. Ayogedde ku kisooka centralization ku the youth and young people, but yogedde ku nsonga ya Hoima, nayogera ku creation of employment, nayogera ku ownership by the community, nayogera ku tourism. Ekisinze y'obunene kyayogeddeko in relation to motorsports, ayogedde ku sustainability of the sport. Kintu ekyo kikulu nnyo. Ate bw'ogattagatta mu nsonga ezo zonna ze twogeddeko, ne bye twogeddeko ebya UMRDC na biki byonna, collective effort tulina okurealizinga omuzannyo gye gulina okugenda. Collective effort. Ffenna tubaamu ne era Albert nga bw'agambye, buli omu abaamu ne individual interest na biki byonna, naye omuzannyo bwe guba gulina okulinnya eddaala okugenda ku level eddaala gye twagala, collective effort ne sustainability of the sport. Ekintu kikulu nnyo, kikulu ddala, era byonna bye twogeddeko wano ne Albert abyogeddeko, UMRDC ani yakwata mu nsawo, ani yakwata ku ki. At the end of the day, kintu era kyafanga bwagambye individual interest. It's what took center stage. Era nekeshi nawe example ennungi ku debate, abaala ba debate eyo ne batandika okwesongamu emmundu okwekuba amasasi. At the end of the day, individual interest, tewaliwo collective interest. Naye nga kintu kyali kirungi nnyo, kyali kikulu nnyo, era kyanditutuse somewhere, maybe even further, okiraba. Naye era twetaaga okutangazaamu mu nsonga ya youth, ku nsonga ya young people. Si nti twagala kugoba mu bakadde. No, that's not the point. The point is abantu abato balina brighter way of thinking, balina new ideas n'ensi gye tulimu kati. Kati olaba ensonga ya social media. Social media we yagerera okujanga buli agamba social media nedda kwonooneka lerere, kati ensi etambulira ku ki? Etambulira ku social media. So ezo ze ideas zetugezaako okwogera kera Albert zabadagezaako okutangaaza nti young minds have bright ideas. They have new ideas that we need to share. Kati abantu ababaddewo abamanyi ebintu bino. Experience eyo nayo tuba tugyetaaga kuba okwata experience n'ogigatta mu nsonga empya, somewhere osanga correlation eyo esobola okukola ne tutambula lumu, ne tutambula in the same direction. Niye ekintu ekyo kikulu nnyo, sustainability y'omuzannyo nkulu nnyo. So
that is the reason why Joshua yogedde ku sustainability. Joshua left that what doing. He was talking about, I think that show we did on 27th of last month. when he was talking about the issue of B13. But okay, B13 to Zeta, okay, maybe, but you also have to look at the sustainability of our cars. Chassis zazo zikiriza such uptakes or adjustments. You have bigger brakes, bigger turbo, sequential gearbox. Does your chassis ekiriza echo? You have a car of 2003. You want to make such upgrades. Does the car? As a technical working group, we are cognizant of the fact the more cars are compete. So because of that reason, mujira mukwata muko kado bagire mbine bya AC bichi mwena musquaring ese on the third Monday yaddako mukola ya tudde ngo tudde banaga batwe B13
nakati bali ndaga kwongera mukatono kwebyo and that's what you've said, you know. Mu myaka gye mazeko ku nsi kuno mazeko a bit of time and I have fallen in love with Africa. And one thing that the world ensi kyeremedde okkiriziganya nti African culture ebadde einamu ekintu kyeyamba ensi yonna. African culture ebadde einamu nti taata atula n'abaana n'abawa obuyinza. So obuyinza obwo taata abukuwa kubanga alina okuvaawo. So the sport is going to be here after I have gone. So olina okubanga preparing anagitwala mu maaso. So if you have the youth is what is going to go forward. Bwe oba omaze kupassinga that age, you can contribute osobola okuteekamu experience, guidance biki. Naye nga ono ajja is the one. That's why you find the best player in the world is 18 and the oldest player exiting is 38. Kati oli wa 38 wakitasigala. Because the young one must take. So bottom line eri you invest in the young to bring the future. And if you do not train the young to give you the future, you will never have a sport. So kati kubya B13 na biki ebyo byonna nze bulijjo ngamba kintu kimu era gezaako nnyo kigamba nange nakigezaako ko nange oli we yakkiriza na creating kubanga navugako Evo 3 N10 N8 emotoka gye nafiringa comfortable nayo was my Evo 3 naye nga ezo motoka ezo zali eza 19 something kati oli we yatuula 92 kati oli we yava mu Subaru, the last manufactured pro-drive Subaru, yali N14. Naye nga teyakola nnyo ku WRC, did one of few events nevaawo. After that Subaru ended, there was no tewali production car eya Subaru gye bali bateeka ku WRC. But other companies continued producing. Kati wotuuka ku time oyina emmotoka gye bakola mu 2009. And you want to compete with a car made in 2024. It is just not visible. But the only thing that we know is how do we find for our competitors the R5 car cheaply? How do we find a way to maintain our Group N or our Group S cars? How are we able to make sure that chetuzizo kola nezibanga ziri competitive within their own class? Kubanga nze njagala kugamba amazima. Wobeera ng'oli mu Evo 10. Esingayo obulungi bwonna bye tulina wano. Ng'ogezaako okugoba R5. Ng'agivuga manyi kyakola. You're like almost you're signing something which is not good for you.
Chiringa Bukenya okugezaako okuzanya omupiira ne Messi.
So kyogezaako okukola is not exactly possible. Kati oli buli wogezaako munoonya, your vehicle teina ability okurestandinga the effect of an off at the speed at which you're moving on in order to chase the other car. So it becomes a safety issue. Oli kyava kugamba, is your chassis able to handle? Kubanga, when you do those upgrades, eyakola emotoka eyo mu 2009 teyagikola okubeera ne upgrades ezo. When he was testing it in the factory ng'akola buli kyonna kyakola, yagikola nga byeyina by'inokola kati wogitwala ku level eri endala weenaatandika okugwa ekigwo oba weenaatandika okukola byekola ejja kubanga teina obusobozi okukola ki.
But I was asking, I think I asked Benji ne Chana about because Chana moka jawangulira mu championship ya last year.
Yes.
The B13.
Yes.
Namubuuza whether yaina second thoughts about okugira emotoka to upgrade that car. Okay, kyagamba okay fine agamba nti okudira R4 kit njiteka mu Evo 10. It's a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
Than me spending that money on the Evo 10 nenji full R4 kanji full B13 as I try to hang in there look for more money to buy an R5 which he did eventually after winning
the championship.
In fact after video kase again on social media about testing then nengena mkabox nemuga wa mkulu kongs. Now, yeah, you should host me and I tell you how an R5 feels. It's completely night and day between the group N and the one of those days.
Yes.
No, don't be envious because I have. That's what he told me. Of course, he was joking.
He was
I'm Friday. I'm married to that show. Even on Monday during the day, I'm box. Am I on today? It's a Zoom link share. And since that time,
I think the most interesting thing you just nkadde.
He told me about the calf flies.
Yasine egisinga.
Yawandika the calf flies. So flies. The word itself.
Yes.
Kanawandika esinga 10. So I'm like, how do you read this? Flies. So send me an audio.
At least Enoch has sat in a very quick. Enoch atudde mmotoka nga zidduka. Ezaffe eza group N and what? Atudde mu R5. So I think for him he has.
How he after the first stage, what was the first stage? Katebe?
Yeah, Katebe. I think I remember
25 kilometers. After that stage, pretty cool. Start your stage, the second stage. How does it feel? Boss, no kind words for you. Okay, we're going for a break. Come out and there are CF1 as well as karting. Right, we're back from that short commercial break. It's a Podium back every single Monday from 10 p.m. to midnight as we preview and review and live in the world of motorsport. You too can watch or listen to this program by using our FIFA Media app. You also can downloading a Play Store or Apple Store. You just definitely will be able to watch or listen to this program wherever you are across the entire world. But of course, we are live on 102.1 FIFA FM as well as FIFA TV. Dome of Ugandan Sports and under the FIFA Media services on this 17th day of June 2024. I don't know.
Resolution.
One of the reasons that's why we keep mentioning the dates and time is because people have resolutions. I don't know how far you've gone with yours.
I never make resolutions.
You never make.
I have lived a very complicated life up to this point, so resolution ewange tezikola.
You set resolutions?
Resolutions in terms of the
targets and everything?
No, I do some targets in terms of business-wise, but resolutions I've learned to live life as it comes.
You set targets as well?
Yeah, I think this...
there's a difference between the two.
A couple of years, yes. And I think the last... Okuva mwaka gwe tuvuddemu n'okuyingira guno mwaka nange mbaddeyo ne targets zina setting era nga bwe nagamba wano ku shock boy nawe wagenda n'ombuuza ate simanyi Paris ate biki era nina target ze nali settings era ze target zeekyagezaako okugoba nega obulamu nga obumanye ennaku zino ne mu economy gye tulimu byo much economy is a bit, you know. Era adjusting targets so as you keep on going, you know. So yeah, you know, setting up targets ng'omusajja,
realistic
ones. So yeah, unrealistic ones by the way. Kati olaba na setting target nga ngena laba Uganda Cranes bukenya nasalawo. Kakati nati byo
at the towards the tail end of the year. Yeah, that's when I would probably ask out to mine, not now.
Okay.
We've talked about the budget, we've talked about how best the sport can, but of course it's collective responsibility, and I wish, because someone has been asking me on break, strategic plan of the federation, mission, objective, and everything. It's a whole lot of. But you watch the space. The team has just come into office. Came into office on 1st May. By that election coincided with the testing of test matches in Amboli, ahead of the big cranes back in Amboli festival. Away from that, the WRC heads to Poland. It's our next event. Of course, we'll throw more light on this event in the next show because it's upon us the other weekend, but I thought it wise to talk about it. I get to get the R5, even as well as the European Championship. We, for lack of a better phrase, to number jobless youth banji, pardon, won it last year, the European Championship.
Yes.
He's coming back this year, and I think by him winning it, it may be impressively the idea manufacturers. Because one of the things that doesn't skip my mind when I talk about the WRC or the European Championship is the discussion we had with Karan Patel during COVID. Karan Tuamubuza, that's the first time he Ngayakaleta that R5. The first event in Tanzania when he reunited with Tausif Khan. Kadnagamba and he had aspirations of becoming a WRC driver. Duke avec Kenya Avuga the Evo 10, Feibe. Then now again M Sport, the one the R2, and I think he didn't convince Malcolm and the rest, and more so they were even spending money on him by the family and everything. So he came back, got the R5, Naniko Vuga. I think he did impress because even the sponsorship here Red Bull, Yagamba, the last interview we did with him, that one we are backtracking about when I asked him a question, what did he mean by Ugandan roads not being on international standards? We had Dayonaga, that's not what he meant. But in that interview, Red Bull or Kuja on board and becoming the Red Bull ambassador reignited his chances of being a WRC driver. So I know Kudamun and I defending, I had to talk with him Mupal and goes why is that the task the Bakua? For you to go for the WRC, you have to defend the RRC. And I'm not open to that question, but what do you think? I think so. Now, okay, let's chat the next stage. At the next stage, but I think off record, he won the RRC last year. Maybe this year, if he does defend it, and impressively by the last year, if he does defend it, maybe I could chances is it angle. But the ERC, the European Rally Championship, you have Olivier Sobakale won the last event at the Sweden over the weekend. We now have Matt Otsberg, we now have Hayden Pardon. I think those are drivers about to if they perform much better this season. Maybe they were good because what do you have up there? What are the chances of other drivers? Citizen was it more Ford, okay, Ford not so much because of the kind of a privateer setup, but for Hyundai and Toyota, given the fact you have. I think currently the Jagena was slightly more expanded because with the inclusion of Saudi Arabia signing a 10-year contract. With the promoter and starting next 2025. So you need, I think there was much talk about other teams coming in. So the EWRC gives a chance to other drivers showcasing what they have ahead of the bigger stage, and if Pardon can defend it, maybe Pardon has even an event in the WRC by the way. He was the first New Zealand and also first Kiwi who won the WRC event.
2016 Rally Argentina.
Argentina trying to do it this time, and but let's hope give them to
anange ensonga ya WRC ne drivers mu WRC yo mzibu nnyo waki nzibu. But drivers were mentioning Hayden Pardon, Mads Osberg, Ndozo omuntu ayinza okuba nga akyalinamuko ka chance akatonotono kusobola okwogera kabayinza okubeera Oliver Solbergwai kuba emyaka giri ku side here. I think he's 23 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Born in 2001?
Yeah, so...
In fact, he's even yet to make 23 because I think he was born in September.
Ah, September, okay, yeah, because I know he and Kale are just about close in age, but yeah, just about the same age. So, nsonga eyo nzibu nnyo. Waki nzibu nti WRC kati weeri bw'ova ku the current crop of drivers abali mu motoka kati wetwogerera. The future gye batunuulidde, Albert yakyogeddeko tubadde twogera ku nsonga ya budget ne sustainability in the sport. Young people, the youth. Kyevola bangambye mu manya keshi gayogeddeko Oliver Solberg yalinga ayinza okubaamu ne chance eya movement into the WRC, into the top echelon of WRC, which is Rally 1. ERC, very, very good platform, but driver, especially abali mu Europe, abagala okushowcasing their skills. Bw'obanga osobola okufuna sponsor asobola okuteekamu akasente n'ogenda n'ovugira ku mutindo gwa ERC. Oyogedde ku conversation gye walina ne Karen Patel eya hopes ez'okuvuga mu WRC, nenze ngamba nti in all honesty, njagala nnyo okubeera honest, okubeera as honest as possible. Karen Patel ne wanaawangula ARC mutwalo. Tajja kufuna opportunity egenda mu WRC unless he has got kye bayita engeri gye bakiyita mu luzungu angel sponsor. Waki ngamba angel sponsor? Obeera ne blank check. Angel sponsor agamba bugambi weetaaga sente mmeka n'asayininga check. Blank check. N'asayininga check. Fill in your figures. Sente nga ziri wali ku account, okwatako nkwate n'ogenda. Kankuwa example ya angel sponsor. Waliwo omuzeeyi mu WRC right now gwe bayita erinnya linvudde mu mutwe naye atera kuvuga Ford. Sadaridis, yeah. Right now waliwo driver avugira mu M Sport gwe bayita Gregor Monster. Gregor Monster ali ku angel sponsorship ya Jordan Sadaridis. Nti yamugamba oyagala kuvuga WRC fine, manyi what it costs to drive a WRC. Nkuwadde check yino genda ovugire M Sport. Kuba yamulabamu quite a bit of talent n'agamba ali decent mu ngeri gy'avuga naye talina opportunity yegenda omuvugisa mu the top echelon of WRC naye n'agamba engeri nze just ayagala kugivuga like I've been doing every other year. Let me take a step back, kanteeke sente zange wendaba future. Era future yagiraba mu Gregor Monster, era kati kyevola Gregor Monster ali ku full calendar ya WRC. So kizibu nnyo nti era ne bw'okyogeddeko ba manufacturer tulina babiri, tulina Hyundai, tulina Toyota. Team ziri full loaded. Okiraba Ford is semi. WRC kati wano webadde ne wetubadde in the last couple of months ensonga ebadde ku what is the future of the WRC. Kuba twetaaga okulaba ng'omuzannyo gukula singa ate gukola ki gweyongera kutonyiwa.
That's why there's even okuba nti bava mu this kind of cars then baddeyo.
Yes, exactly.
Safari knows you missed this crop of cars as you walk at it because you're reverting back to.
Yeah, there's a possibility. Then no, actually byachuka because there was a working group. Actually, talking in the Safari, it was a very, very hot topic amongst the manufacturers. FIA and WRC promoter for what is the future of the sport moving forward. Kati aonetulira munyo ngabagamba nti 2025 they are going to revert the regulations. At WRC2 baziwe kumanya agasinga Rally 1 bazikende zamani. Nenga omuntu abadala ba WRC okumala ebbanga ekyo tekyakola magezi. Kubajukira ba manufacturer batekamu investment for the next 6 years from when the new cars came out to when they are supposed to end the cycle of regulations in 2026. So okuchusa
in between nomugamba
ate revert ate jawo hybrid ate tekikola financial sense.
Bagamba nti Hyundai bagenda ba upgrading America bajagala etuke. So as they getting closer to that upgrade.
Yes, exactly. Ate oyagale ochusa amateeka so kyaite kigenda kola magezi era last communication that we did from the last meeting World Council by season bagamba ekiteso this level of cars is remaining on until the end of the cycle of the regulations, which is 2026. So we have the hybrid power up to the end of 2026. Then from there we shall see what the new cycle of regulations is. So dera okuddayo ku kyembadde njogerako ekya ERC eringa category olaba nga bwe tugamba mu ERC nga tukomye wano mu Africa. Olina ERC then olina ERC2. Then olina two-wheel drive ERC. Kati ERC yebanga edda ku yebanga ERC2. Yosobola okugamba nti kale nze siina sina busobozi bunene nnyo obugenda okunkompitingisa wali mu top class ya ARC niyo busobozi bwe nina nti nsobola okubeera mu ARC2 kati eyo ye ERC but driver abatayina sente oba opportunity egenda obateeka wali mu Rally 1 because Rally 1 seats are only 9 if you look at the manufacturers n'emmotoka eziriwo so importance ya ERC into ofuna ba drivers nga ba Podium abaliko mu WRC n'ofuna ba drivers nga ba Mads Osberg abaliko mu WRC okugenda okushowcasing what they can still do in ERC atenga baina ba sponsor baba yakatinga Osberg yavugira I think it was MRF tires ngageza ku developing tires zabe for quite a while era nga kikolera mu ERC okumwe yo platform you know same with Hayden Podium yafuna sponsorship okuva mu his group in New Zealand his Hyundai group in New Zealand then of course naafuna ne Angel ne okay not Angel ne naafuna yo ba sponsor balala mu Europe awasobola okumuwa obusobozi okuvuga mu ERC so that is why even this season is back after winning last season naye Indoza ERC is a little bit more competitive this year kuba mulimu some new blood mulimu abaana abato ate abapya abayingidde championship eyo era egenda kunyumira ddala era abagoberera WRC mutunako ne mu ERC kubanga kati mu event zino ezijja mu Poland ndoza mugenda beera mu omu eyabadde mu ERC bamuyita Martin Sykes agenda vuga Rally 1 nenga downgraded Rally 1 etaina hybrid system you know so ERC is more like the feeder into WRC kati era nga bogambye nze ndaba Karen Patel chance gyaba alina okushowcasing his talents at that top level eba very very doable in the ERC category.
But that is if because Katalinga if your toll is to have that seat then you have to like you said angel check get someone to propel you to that level showcase what you have again age is not on is not said as well because ERC gunomaka waina events munana baba de Sweden if you look at Oliver Solberg he's ne afunako ku chance by the way the Hyundai and Mama Iza Moses Bali I think for lack of a better word for his own safety because the mokali not a make bamuga mukuru for your own safety
kakati first of all ngatetuna ku gena mu details is that WRC is just of course okubera ne bragging rights yaffe wano Mwami Bukenya bragging rights adeta nazituwa for quite some time
championship leaders
ati sawa zino wetwogerera ku WRC Hyundai leading a drivers championship leading a manufacturers championship leading a power stage championship
nokwogerako leading a smartness championship wafa batasinza okubeera smart
so ebyo bibaddewo and it has been a very very exciting time for me and for all Hyundai fans
and it's now or never it's now or never
ekibeerawo nti okuyingira ne mu conversation gyetuliko wano nti Hyundai yafunamu ebizibu in the manufacturing process eya i20 era twafunamu change of management netubanga chassis gye twakola yali chassis bagikola last minute nebanga ebadde ne problem kati during the process gye twadde
during
Adomo leaving and Adomo when he left
during that transition kuba ebintu ebimu ebyajja by the way you know Adomo was not fired Adomo left because of there was no feature at Hyundai moving into the new regulation cycle
so for him he went and then people had to pick up the pieces. So tumaze banga dene nga the management of Hyundai have not yet agreed with the investment in motorsport as a return on investment. Nayenga over the years the Hyundais that have been bought across the world have increased and as a result of that even 4x4s are being bought. So the manufacturer and the management now saw that actually there's something in motorsport. So that's why they picked a new Bajayo principal Mupiano Mujai mu Formula 1 Naja never picking up a lot of guys never standing up Moroka Yafe. Moroka Yafe in my opinion is that the best it has ever been. We have always been quick but unreliable. But we are quick now, reliable and we are able to sustain a fight a whole way.
Reliable on both terrains, gravel and
Sardinia is one of the roughest events all cars went through, and if you watched Singawalaba Power Stage and if you watch the onboard of Thierry and watch the onboard of Tanak, you understand that those things are really hard.
Yeah, nati yeta sola laba power stage kuba yanku inamubile simu ngali wansi wa chitani ngali ebise ne piro
Okay, Sardinia is one of the roughest, not the roughest. One of the roughest.
Sardinia is, in Europe, it is the roughest.
Yeah, in Europe, yes.
It is the
But
roughest.
Albert, go ahead.
So basically, what we have next, conversation the WRC and motorsport in that sector tuinamu ekizibu eyokubanga ba manufacturers tebawera. The production of driver bapya webali. There's that boy called Martin Sachs, very quick boy. Waliyo ono gwe bawadde Toyota agenda kuvuga Poland. Sami Payari. Olivier Solberg is very fast. What about driver banji nyabaliyo, but there's no seats. So WRC nayo and the motorsport FIA bafuna committee ne batula finding a solution to this problem, instigated by the promoter, because promoter here it's a business.
Yes.
So Alabanti he's losing on that business. The ERC was a championship about Dewo before, but because of the promoter seeing the benefit of it,
yes,
that is why we're able to watch it live.
Yes.
Irana watching the event in Sweden, it is quite interesting, and you're on your toes. Kubanga, the times are really there.
Yeah.
So katifenafe mu Uganda, if we pick a leaf from that, in order for us to know where we are going, we must sit down and plan. You do not wake up on Monday morning and decide to do something on Tuesday. So the WRC woke up, it's planning. The motorcars, but in the meeting they decided no. Manufacturers sat as manufacturers collectively.
Yes.
Toyota, Hyundai, M Sport, collectively. Again, the word collective. And they said to the promoter, tetuswa kuchusa motoka kati tutaddemu sente nyingi. Era Hyundai was on the way of pulling out if they wanted them to do that.
True.
So the other manufacturers never told, and then they had the Hyundai story and said, okay, let's go. Now the most interesting thing, Saudi Arabia to sign for 10 years means the WRC is going to be there for 10 years.
There's a future.
There's a future.
There's a future.
But what is that future going to be?
The role of the FIA president.
Because truth be told, he's from the Middle East.
He's from the Middle East and they have the money. But the question is the rounds going to increase or they are going to remove certain people?
I actually do have some information on that, but at this point it is still privileged information, so I will not share the point, but I will share when it is worth sharing.
The most thing is that the calendar is about the excitement it brings, and the World Championship is not a World Championship if it does not touch all continents.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the moment it has, we are very lucky as Africa that we have the Safari, which is on the African continent, and nobody else has asked for it. If Morocco wakes up and makes a big bid, it goes. So it is in the best interest for East Africa to make sure they don't lose that thing for motorsport future. However, competition, I'm a guy who thinks very much out of the box. It is about a and we share with government about it. Kubanga, there is nothing as more exciting as a black man in the WRC car. At a WRC event. Even if he's the last, he will be the most talked about person.
We've had Kenyans doing it.
When McRae went to when McRae went to Sweden, Mr. Kimathi's son, he did not perform very well, but the entire rally was about a guy called McRae who is black driving on snow.
True, because I read Twitter was going wild. Actually, one of the biggest points ku manifesto ya president, actually what is running right now, the biggest thing is about cyberbullying, online bullying. Ate kyali kintu kinene nnyo okulaba nti kyatandikira mu 2021 ku nsonga ya mukulu ono his best friend Michael Massey. Until there was a lot of cyberbullying that happened, especially for driver Latifi, Kowajukira Latifi. He's the one who crashed that ended up bringing what ended up being the result at the end. So Albert akute ku nsonga nkulu nnyo McRae Kimathi bwe yagende Sweden kuba nagoberera nnyo ngeri gyendi very ardent watch of WRC era when namanya McRae agenze even with more intent, but Twitter was going well because there were a lot of racist slurs being thrown around, McRae being black. So yeah, but it's a very good point that you made.
So, in fact, Nabuzane Am's about his experience because he's been there before. But yeah, you can't. One of the things bataina okay, what he saw from the WRC that was during Paul when Alimu was during service park after the first or second group. Was about his experience with the WRC. One of the reasons that's why those guys outrightly outcompete us is because for them it's day and night.
Yeah.
Tobacco simulators, they are always doing events every time. Sometimes you balance work and
for us as a motorsporting world, abantu bali motorsport right now, we're not going to producing a Calero Vampira. No. We have not yet planned for him. Calero Vampira is produced 15 years behind.
Yes.
Now we can take a competitor with a car with the word visit Uganda, see gorillas. I'm telling you, a car on a rally track, on rally TV, is watched by millions of people.
People around the world, yes.
So, whether he's the last, like Saridis, he's ever the last. But he starts the road fast, so he's on the camera all the time.
Yeah.
So if you really want to get attraction out of that, if you want to advertise a country using motorsport, WRC is the biggest platform you can ever have.
Absolutely.
And
Kenya Airways.
Kenya Airways,
Kenya Airways is that. They can do that and all that. And for me, I know countries, I know people are rich, but these African countries have money. We can build a national stadium. It does not cost that money to put a guy in a WRC.
Yeah.
So it's just about planning and thinking outside the box. So as a country, as a continent, Africa, it is very important for a collective thinking, all federations sits down and say, we must have an African competitor in the WRC, we must have an African competitor in the Formula One, we must have an African competitor in tennis, in all these competitions that are globally looked at, in order for our continent to go where it wants to go.
Albert, nina wakabuzo, Kesh, just before you chime in, Albert, byatangazamu, nechimpe chibuzo mutwe. Bobeera gwe Albert, olina choice. One, advertise the country. Olaba nga Rwanda chekola in football. Arsenal visit Rwanda to Slivia Arsenal jersey. Not necessarily having Rwandese players playing in the team. So I bring that back into the running circle. Would you rather advertise the country with saying, like what Kenya Airways did with Ford in Safari. Tutadeko Kenya Airways, WRC car, we are going to get mileage during the Safari. Or would you rather we get an African driver, say, Kodinga is going to drive in the WRC, to muteke musente agenda avuge. Which would you rather of that two?
In my assessment and my tourism background, the driver in the car hits the ball.
The driver in the car hits the ball.
The driver in the car kills everything. Because
regardless of the performance that
regardless of the performance, the fact that he's the most unique thing.
And what's the age bracket of that
and
driver?
And he's unexpected.
What would be the age bracket of that driver?
The age bracket of the driver would need to look for a young guy. Yeah. So we cannot take
he's out of the equation.
No, we are all out. You're all out.
Sustainability.
No, navigator you can be. The driver we have is Bebeto. The Bebeto can be one of the people we look at, and we can build that one because he's still young, and we get him there. He's not going to win, but he's just going to drive. The navigator can be 50, 60 years old. There's no problem.
Mani, ensonga wati mbuziza.
So kusaninza WRC kugenda ku Formula 1 ne karting championship katu Enoch is out of the equation automatically. All right, we'll be back from that short commercial break. It's our final segment of today's program. The Podium, we are every single Monday from 10 p.m. to midnight, where we preview and review all the latest in the world of sports. Calling Leroy, Starboy, co-driver Pilipili, computer system representative, byonna bina COC assistant COC panelist byonna bibye Albert Ofong team explode sporting commission oshaliko
I've never removed me.
So mukulu whatever you're going to be deliberating at the CC you end up era sebo musaba kulabira ddala wali
oli okundabira ddala wali mukulu
okay we're into our last segment of today's program, and the DELIBERATIONS championship standings: Thierry Neville 122 points, Tanak tied with Evans 104, Oje 92 points. Wolf Power Stage standings: Thierry 23 points, Tanak 19, Evans 11, Karel Vampera 10, Sebastian Oje 9. But Hyundai having the bragging rights 1-2. Drivers and power stage as well as the manufacturers. But I think as we conclude this, because the topic which you can even discuss the whole, it's now on, in my view, it's now or never for Hyundai.
Lero you get the Hyundai because the chairman Hyundai Africa is here in the studio, so now you
push me to the oil now or never for Hyundai.
The good thing that God gives us life and time.
This is the Poland, the weekend. So let's
wait.
Poland
1-2, another one. Ndoza muchiraba ku screen Poland kati izo okubeera gundi yonna kuba I'm hoping lap is in Poland. So if lap is in Poland, I know anyway, nja kuwa prediction yange next Monday. Oyagala kabira wano.
No, I think we'll do it the next time. But I think it's Andres in the car for Poland. Unfortunately,
even last season, by the way, got a seat the previous season. So
I think Andres is driving the car for Poland, but Andres had never driven Poland before. In the Citroen. So anyway, we'll see.
And the Polo as well by the VW.
Okay, away from the DRC into Formula 1 this weekend, back in Spain, and you'll be able to watch that race from 4 p.m. Local time. Catalonia 66 laps. A lap 4.65 kilometers. David Hamilton has I think he's tied with Michael Schumacher, about six race wins. And the last one was won by Max Verstappen from pole, winning everything, fastest lap, the race win itself. This year, maybe, one thing I like, I won't talk about Red Bull so much because they are dominating, but I like the McLarens, much improved, Lando Norris and Piastri. And to me, I have a feeling that generation is it double. Maybe Oscar Piastri, maybe can do it. For Lando, Charlie Chija finally did it.
He did it,
and
yes.
For Oscar Piastri, Ndabanga is trying to get closer to it. I think McLaren have a much better car than they had last season.
Nina kantu ke nasomyemu kuba nina ndi part of Formula 1 group. Unfortunately, see a group ya mukuru waffe Albert ono mu studio naye tuina je tubeerako mukutu gwe tuwayamu ebintu bya Formula 1 bashalize article nga Christian Horner principal wa Red Bull yebuuza agamba kigenda maaso, how come these other teams have come a lot closer to the Red Bull, what is changing? Kuba ate nawuliddemu awo mugenkuubo Mercedes erina modifications yakoze ku front wing kati Red Bull already etandise okuteekayo inquiry nti bakola ki kigezaako okubasembeza okumpi kuba otundamu era nga bw'ogambye some teams seem to have upped their game in terms of the performance and what they're able to achieve on the track, most especially McLaren. Kuba Grand Prix ezisembyeyo zino ndozange nnya tubadde tulabanga McLaren ebadde eteerawo ddala embeera ku Red Bull. Nze ng'omuntu kyenjagala ennyo kuba njagala nnyo ekintu nga kiri very very competitive. Of course ku Formula 1 group yange ewase babangamba nti Mercedes nga we are dominating it from 2016 up to 2020 nga temwayogeranga. Ngamba I mean byaliwo at the end of the day, it's Sir Lewis Hamilton at the wheel. He was the one at the wheel at the time, and he's a representation of the black community. Era yensonga Albert jabadde ayogerako just before nti wesanga just naturally you're behind him, you're supporting him because of what he's representing at the world level, being the only driver basically that actually not basically, being the only driver in one of the biggest sports in the world, you know. So naturally, wesanga you are aligned to supporting him. Nayenga ngamba yeah nsaba nnyo McLaren yongerewo embere yetaddewo. I really hope Ferrari can also, you know, kind of get back into the square of things, and see let's try and have a little bit more of an interesting season of Formula One going into the other half of the year.
Of course, this will be the 65th time the race will be held in Spain. Change in Spain, of course, apart from it being first held in 1916, 2016, the first race, the first senior race, because of course, F2 and Max Verstappen. The day he announced himself onto the scene was in Catalonia. That's a race where Hamilton and Rosberg crashed on the first lap, the first corner, and Guy now taking a lead race.
Yes.
66 laps.
18-year-old.
Yeah, and he held off Kimi Raikkonen by a very experienced driver. In fact, it was a great day, no? It is Max Verstappen, 2016, then 2023, then Hamilton, Alonso na wins biri. Of the 20 drivers, Spain. So it much tells about how Max has been, and in my view, he's really dominated on merit. Other drivers are just trying to catch up, like you've said, like McLaren, catching up.
Okay, of course, the dominance of Red Bull is there. McLaren has come up and given a challenge. As Formula One Association, Uganda, tubeera ne another activity je tuyita called race viewing. Era race tugenda kugiviewinga ku our partner called Icon Bar and Restaurant, which is at Forest Mall. Tugenda kubeera ne event yaffe ejja kubeera ku Saturday. We're going to do the qualifiers. We have a very good DJ who is going to be with us. Our sponsors are going to be with us, so we invite abasobola ku Saturday mutu joining. Then on Friday the real race day, on Sunday the real race day from 4. We will be there. From 1 o'clock you can book seats. The Formula One Association runs the viewing day under sponsorship, and that event is going to be sponsored by sponsored by our partner Icon, and it gives certain discounts and certain offers to our members. We get some drinks, some food to watch, and a very wonderful experience. We have a great DJ who is going to be with us. So to be inviting you to joining us, so we're enjoying that match. Anybody who is around, come watch the game. About the race itself, there's nothing. There was nothing as exciting as okulaba omukulu waffe Lando Norris putting Van Basten to the wire in the Grand Prix before Canada. In the event twetaga nnyo okufuna competition eyo. Abantu bagamba the dominance of Lewis. I shall be selfish and say it is acceptable. Olwokubanga yali ava in my color direction tujja kikiriza, and it had not happened for a very long time. So some young guy somewhere in this world of my same color was inspired by that man's work. For the years he was driven, many young people were inspired, so it's worth it in my view. Kati ogenda maaso nebidirira kati, the dominance of Red Bull is it's not something that should continue. But the teams are working hard okubeera nga basobola okutuukirira. I personally support Ferrari, and okulaba the interest of Ferrari was to acquire a driver 1 year in advance. Era Lewis Hamilton, come 2025, is the lead driver for Ferrari. So all the attention and all the work is being done okusobola okumuwa emmotoka gy'asobola competing nayo. The improvement.
He has one more championship or 2 left in him.
I think he has. I think he still has a championship.
I do believe so. I do
still has a championship.
Yet ago winning his 9th championship.
Still have
2021
bagambe ya 9 anti jukira Schumacher ina mwenda baga maybe
Schumacher ina musanvu. They are equal with Schumacher on championship.
On the number of championships.
Yes. Schumacher won 7.
So he has to surpass.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it's a case of him trying to surpass Schumacher's record.
I think the bottom line about it now we togera mbuli chintu. Young people must come through. So all these young guys who are in the teams balina okubeera nga balina omuntu gwe balaba aba guiding a way forward, and for Ferrari it is good. Sainz is going. Ate nga ebyo bikyali awo, but I don't know if you've heard Audi is coming to Formula 1.
Oh yes, yes.
And Sainz is the designated driver for Audi in the production. So Lewis Wagenderi, Sainz I think is going to join Audi to bring the car forward. So we expect more out of them.
Yeah.
At a race we very competitive. It's much more exciting for us and gives much more return for the competitor. I mean, for us the spectator.
Nina yakabuzo kenjagala okubuza Kesh nga genda okuwa submission ye wano. Mu driver market nga bweyimiridde kati kuba Albert agikutteko ayogera ebigenda maaso. Lewis agenze mu Ferrari. Carlos Sainz tulowooza engeri ebintu gye bitambula with Audi coming on board, definitely baba bagenda kwetaaga driver with some bit of experience and also with age on his side. Carlos Sainz is a very good fit. Naye Audi is still a little bit far off. I think they still have about another 2 years from this year. I think they should be coming in maybe 26 if I'm not mistaken. Kakati mukadde kano ketulimu waliwo driver replacing a Carlos Sainz in the name of Antonelli, Italian driver.
When you had
when Carlos Sainz had to get that surgery. Natekawo performance I didn't know to finish 7th in this very, very fast big race. Kati my question
from F2.
Yes, from F2. My question to you, Kesh.
Now the signs are come weekend and that's why race.
Now Angula, yes, very true. Kati, in your perspective, Kubakati right now, the driver market jetulaba, all the other teams have drivers sealed for 2025 except for Mercedes-Benz. They do not have. We do not know who is going to be in that second seat behind George Russell. In your perspective,
Red Bull, Bata-ins and
exactly. Sergio Perez. The decision I still don't understand, but anyway, regardless. In your view, olowooza Mercedes option chebe bakolera obulungi okukwata Antonelli at his tender age of I think he's what 17 he's going to 17 next year okumuteekamu entebe so that he lands on the job, or get a Carlos Sainz for that 1 year 2025 and then see where to go next in 2026 when Carlos Sainz has definitely moved on to Audi, because I'm pretty sure he'll be moving on to Audi.
When they
when they come on
for those Mercedes, they need the issue of nurturing. Give someone a sitting a motor does not, in my view, their results, instant results, because Red Bull has dominated from the last time. I think Hamilton were dominating. With Nico Rosberg as well. Then Hamilton dominated. Kati bagala na wafune kumuvuzi, someone who can bring the title home. Constructors because it's collective, but for the individual, for the drivers' championship, like last season you saw Red Bull winning both the drivers and the manufacturer and the constructors. So I think opting in for Omontwalimu actually influence in terms of that level. I think they out for experience. In fact, when Hamilton signed for Ferrari, there was much talk about Carlos Sainz, Mercedes bagena mukolachi, bagena muse, but of course Mercedes kept their cards to their chest. The Basha Tadao of course bafulia lineup so kula gandi singa zili full. Katika second ya sign is Perez. Ne okula gandi ya Red Bull eri full. Ya Ferrari eri full for next season. Ya Haas match. McLaren, there was talk about Mercedes or kugenda mu McLaren, most probably Oscar Piastri. Most probably Oscar Piastri, because bali bagaya wenza utakwala ando. Ne ate nze banonya. Mercedes will really try to lobby for Lando, because Lando I think is a driver.
Naye Albert, in your thinking, olabira ddala nga either a one Lando Norris or an Oscar Piastri asobola okuva mu mbeera eri mu McLaren kati nga bookya n'avaawo n'agamba okugenda mu Mercedes next season.
If I'm Lando, I don't move because I'm the number one driver. If I'm Oscar Piastri, bwe manga ma series agenda kunsubiza ngenda kubeera ahead of George Russell.
Atotya.
The question is, Hamilton agenda mu Ferrari.
Yes.
Tabe number 1 driver. Tagenda sango la Clark.
Nedda.
La Clark agenda kuwa number 1 driver of Hamilton.
Yes. Yes.
My friend. Hamilton agenda second fiddle.
Yes.
Watch the space. F1.
Kakati abatulaba of course
I'll ask you the same question.
Tuina karting National Karting Championship ekwatagana ne Formula 1 bedrock ya circuit racing era Formula 1 Association twatandika championship eno eranga we have our next event in the beginning of July, the weekend of the 5th to the 7th of July if I'm not mistaken. Tugamba buli omu woba olina akadde oyiteko ku Miraki Racetrack gye tugenda kubeera ne event eyo to learn about karting. It's a very exciting event. We twabadde ne launch ne event gye twabadde nayo twagala kwebaza ba competitor abarespondinze. Twatandika with about, I think, if there were not 8 or 10 competitors or 12 ku day one. I'm proud to say that we have got interest for about 25.
Oh, nice.
We have committed 17, and we have about another 8 or so that are coming and should be committed. When I say committed, paying for licenses and all that. So the sport, the discipline is growing, and twagala nnyo abantu bajje balabe. It's like a Formula 1 track, cars going around. And the age group tutandika ku myaka 5 paka 7, then 7 paka about 15, then to enough from 15 upwards. N'abasajja bakadde nganze namwe musobola okuvuga ko kart.
N'emyaka gyabo Kenya mwegiri
ngeze tulina kye tuyita race gye tuteekako, it's called the seniors race.
Seniors race is from what age to what age?
From your age, 60 above.
From your age and above.
At least for the MX, it is very classified. It's the age.
Basically, it is a race that we are trying to build. Kubanga nemu karting, there's that element of the older class. So tujita seniors race ebeera after every race is done, and we invite twagala nnyo, for example, like that day there, that is Leila Mayanja, who won the seniors race on that day. Somewhere around there, somewhere there seated also racing.
What were your times?
My times were, it was my first time on a kart. My times
what
were not
were
good.
your times?
My times were not, I wasn't the last. My times were not that good.
As a question, appropriately.
Nina akabuzo kange. Soko mukuru Albert amalize submission
so basically, tusaba bavuzi abagala okujja. You can check osobola ogenda ku website yaffe. It is www.formula1ug.com. Ojja kusanga regulation query, osange form gyoyagala kufiringa, osange engeri gy'osobola okusasula. Membership of our club is $150. Womala joining a club, then you can request for FMU license. FMU yade cooperative nyo network discounted rate for the license. License for license for FMU for karting is 50,000, which enables you to race in the national championship. This year twina event satu ezili calendar ya FMU. Tugenda mu second round. Our leading competitor is Bebeto. He's leading our championship list Saturday nayo. But we look forward to many more, and race yabaddewo twabadde ne race yabadde ku Miracle race the other weekend. The Simba Rally team yabaddewo era they left with very very big winnings on that day. Now the competition was very intense. Atenga eraga abantu baagala nnyo. So twagala mujje. Entry fee event yaffe is 250,000 for the entry fee. Omuntu ajja kubuuza what is the entry fee. I know my colleague is going to ask that question. let me give you a description. Entry fee yaffe eba ekuwa nga olaba ku TV eyo, ekuwa access to the track, ekuwa kart gyogenda kukozesa, ekuwa mafuta gyogenda kukozesa, ekuwa byogenda kwambala ku lunaku, helmet, uniform plus the balaclava that you need. Wekyolina okujja nayo is your racing gloves and covered shoes. FMU nga organization tugezako okukuza omuzanyo. So in terms of regulations tuli a little bit laxed. To concentrating nnyo ku bintu ebya safety for now. Naye nga regulation eri mu process efulumye era we are going to be carrying out some symposiums to teach competitors, track owners, bochi on what karting is going to be going forward. Classes between 50cc, 60cc, 125cc. Zetugenda kozesa as we go forward with developing karting in Uganda.
Kitegeeza kati mu Kenya bwa muteeka mu 60cc. Ngeri gyali omukadde ne nti speed tagisobola. Anyway, question. Bade njagala kumanya nchiwa n'abatulaba n'abatuliza bagala kumanya. Bwe nsasula membership ya club ye 150,000 enyamba ki ku kuyingira sport sekati nga kulunakula competition memba nasasula club membership ya 150. Ninawo kyanjawulo ki kyengenda okufuna mu yo membership je nsasudde ya club ate ne ku race day.
Kwa ku race day osasula 250,000.
Kwa ku race day ate osasula 250,000. Hey, by the way, no osasula ne 50,000 za license. Yeah.
So kakati kiriwe kiti wobeera ku a member of Formula 1 association your 150 ekuwa a discounted rate. Ku track eyo ya Miraki woba ogenze for practice topusasula nga buli omu. Woba ogenze ku race viewing gye tulina ku Saturday you are entitled to some drinks and a meal. Woba ogenze ku purchasing of equipment gye tugezaako okuteekako helmet, gears and so on tukufunira equipment at a discounted rate, even the carts themselves. Then twagala kukola partnerships with different brands. For example, one of our brands is Jubilee Assurance, which is an insurance company. Ubayagala kwa insuring a nyumba yo business yo bichi, and you're a member of Formula 1, you get a discount when you're doing those processes. Tuina omukulu wafe Icon. Icon Bar and Restaurant is a very popular place. Wobogenze and you show your card, you get a discount. So we're building on those elements. Atenga tuina a few crazy ideas that are coming up, which involves taking this sport outside Uganda. And as a member of Formula 1, you get different rates and different appeal when you go to those places. For those who want to watch Formula 1 itself, the race, we have packages that we have developed for the Middle East races. Those are the ones which are easier to go. And starting with 2025, all factors remaining constant, we want to have a delegation of Ugandan spectators to every Formula 1 race within that region. So as a member of Formula 1, you get it discounted out of that package. So there's a lot more that is coming as the club is opening up. Hotel rates across the country and areas that our people really like.
So those are, you have each and every, you have a billion reasons to be part of F1 association of Uganda.
Not a billion reasons. I have some reasons to maybe.
Vice President Formula 1 Association of Uganda, Albert Ofong, aliyomu kwabo abali bajita entabiro wali wenyine. We're out of VR, time is fast spent. Thank you for being part and parcel of this show. We'll definitely get back next week. Parting shots?
Parting shots? Nsera nsaba okutumira era bwe situmira bayinza okuntemako obugalo ntumira Ashley tumidde kajambo ndentumira mwenna abatulaba n'abatuuliza mwebale nnyo mwebali ddala mwongere nnyo okulaba Fufa TV mwongere nnyo okuwuliza Fufa Famma tubaagala nnyo tubaagalira ddala
nsabe ddala VIP ticket
nze njagala kwebaza Fufa ne Engineer Magogo kubanga emyaka gyonna asigadde nga tuwa platform eno tumwebaza era tusaba nti byonna bigende mu maaso and success with the Cranes and all the other teams that he's running.
Okay, that's all we've had. Weekend and you surely have something to occupy you. The Formula 1 bagenda Catalonia, Spain, surely from 4 p.m. Definitely get back on Monday. Tunabe live an episode of Wanga Bitambudde. Surely join you guys. Hope Shimeza Chigazi. Remember the talk we had after the cancelled AGM FM Silver Springs. You can have a discussion. Twagenda ovayo nabo associate member F1 association will know Uganda. Ngabogere motor cage. Apart from the F1 itself. Twadako ne kwena RC. Bamaliza bonna nga boogera emmotoka egi.
Kitotome 8. Oyogere kitotome 8. Kusondako ninayo ekibuuzo kya driver wa kitotome 8.
Jakuda next week we out of here.
Eleven is here. In front of us. 11 is here in front of us. We expect it tomorrow. 11 is here. 11 is here.